Have you ever lost a beloved toy and felt a part of your childhood vanish with it? Tonight, on True Terraphiles Official, we begin the unsettling journey behind the terrifying truth behind a missing child's toy. A story that starts simple: my niece's favorite plush bear, a rainbow teddy given to her on her 5th birthday, only to take a chilling detour when the teddy vanished without a trace one rainy afternoon, leaving a hole in her heart, but also a mystery stretching beyond everyday loss. In the days that followed, the house seemed to shift. Soft giggles echoed through empty rooms, the bear's scent lingered in the hallway, and fuzzy shadows moved at the edge of vision, all suggesting this was more than a missing toy. It was a focal point of fear. Tonight, we'll explore the toy's emotional significance, how children form protective bonds with their belongings, and why losing that connection can open a door to the unknown. And we'll walk through the first clues. A single, tiny footprint appearing on her bedspread, a cryptic message scrawled on a chalkboard, "Teddy go home," and faint lullaby recordings captured on the baby monitor at night, despite our devices being off. We talk with a child psychologist about how a toy's energy can anchor to a child's sense of safety, and interview local folklore experts who tell us that missing toys are at the heart of centuries-old lost spirits, where beloved objects take on memory and emotion, sometimes returning marked, or even changed. ILL share the audio EVP captured during a late-night vigil. Whispers of "bring it back" from the darkened closet, and replay the moment the hallway light flickered 3 times in perfect rhythm during her bedtime story. As the clues accumulate, we feel a shift in the atmosphere, the comforting hum of normalcy replaced by the echo of the bear's absence. And by the end of this episode, you'll understand how a disappearing toy can spark a real horror, touching families deeply and hinting at forces beyond explanation. This is emotional horror rooted in reality, driven by a child's missing piece of their world. And ILL invite you now, if you've ever lost something precious, or felt an object carry more than memory, share your story in the comments. Like and subscribe to True Terraphiles Official, because tomorrow we dive even deeper into the trail of clues, examining chalk messages, unseen forces, and bringing in paranormal experts to help unravel whether this toy was lost or taken. The days following the disappearance of the toy brought a series of increasingly unsettling events that turned a simple missing object into a mystery no one in the house could ignore, and what began as a child as tears over a lost bear soon shifted the entire atmosphere of the home, with quiet moments feeling heavier and familiar corners seeming unnaturally cold. It started with soft tapping from inside the closet when no one was there, a faint lullaby-like melody echoing down the hallway despite no music box or toy playing, and the dog, normally calm, refusing to enter the child's room at night, standing frozen at the doorway and growling low at something unseen. And one morning, faint marks appeared on the bedroom wall, like tiny handprints smeared across the paint at a height too high for a child to reach and too small for an adult, and no one could explain them. The family, desperate for answers, began leaving small offerings, other toys, drawings, even the child's favorite blanketine, hopes of coaxing the bear back. But each morning those items would be found either on the floor or inexplicably moved to different rooms, as if some unseen presence rejected them. One night, security cameras caught a dim, flickering shadow moving across the hallway just outside the child's room, pausing at the door before vanishing. And though no one was physically present, the footage showed the hallway light flickering in tandem with the shadow's passage. Things escalated further when a neighbor visiting the house claimed to hear a soft, childlike voice calling her name from inside the toy chest, though it was empty. And when the family reviewed an old audio recorder left running overnight, faint words could be heard, impossible to decipher at first, but unmistakably layered beneath the static and breathing sound, suggesting phrases like "come home and find me," though no one in the house admitted to speaking those words. Curious for an explanation, the family reached out to a local paranormal historian, who shared chilling tales of objects believed to hold residual emotional energy, especially those tied to young children or traumatic loss, and how in rare cases these objects acted as anchors, drawing strange occurrences to theirs. As the investigation deepened, they uncovered local folklore about a spirit known as the Collector, an entity said to lure away cherished objects, especially those belonging to children, claiming them for its own collection and leaving behind tiny clues for those brave enough to follow. Old newspaper clippings from decades prior revealed multiple families in the same area reporting missing dolls, stuffed animals, and tiny always accompanied by strange happenings, the smell of lavender with no source, doors locking on their own, and children reporting shadow figures in their rooms at night, and this sinister pattern connected stories across generations, giving weight to the theory that something ancient and unseen was at play in the house, possibly drawn by the child's intense attachment to her toy. The family's growing fear reached a breaking point when, during a gathering to review evidence, one of the guests swore she saw the bear sitting on the staircase perfectly upright, staring out into the hallway with its glassy black eyes, only for it to vanish the moment anyone else turned to look, leaving behind a faint trail of displaced dust in its shape. At this point, the household's unease was constant. Small objects went missing. Clocks reset themselves to the same inexplicable hour each night, and whispered words became so clear on recordings that no one could deny something beyond the ordinary was happening. And in the final moments of this chapter, a final message appeared, a chalk scroll on the child's bedroom wall that read simply, "Almost home," written in an unfamiliar, spidery hand, though no one had entered the room since sundown. As the strange occurrences grew harder to dismiss, the family made a difficult decision to invite a team of local paranormal researchers to conduct a full overnight investigation inside the house. And while they hoped for answers, what unfolded during those tense hours would leave a lasting mark on everyone involved. Cameras were placed in every room, motion sensors activated, and sensitive audio recorders positioned in the child's bedroom hallway and beneath the staircase where activity seemed strongest. And as night fell, an eerie, unnatural stillness settled over the home, the kind of silence so heavy it felt like a warning in itself. And it didn't take long before subtle signs made themselves known. A series of knocks along the upstairs hallway wall, as though tiny hands tapped in a pattern no one could decipher, and the faint scent of lavender drifted through the living room, although no candles or flowers had been placed there for years. One investigator reported feeling a cold breeze pass by, and as the clock struck midnight, the baby monitor in the child's room, left switched on for surveillance, transmitted soft sobbing, though the room remained empty. And what followed left the entire team shaken. One of the cameras picked up a slow, deliberate shadow crossing the floor near the toy chest, and as it moved, the room temperature dropped, dramatically visible in thermal imaging confirming it wasn't imagination. Just before dawn, one final, chilling event occurred. The child's mother, unable to sleep, walked into the hallway and saw the missing teddy bear sitting upright on the staircase landing, exactly as described by others before her, its once bright pastel fur now dulled eyes appearing darker than she remembered, and with trembling hands she approached it, only for the bear to fall over without any visible cause. As if pushed by an unseen hand at that moment, every light in the house flickered, simultaneously captured on 4 different cameras, and on one audio recorder placed in the hallway, a child's voice could be heard whispering 2 unmistakable words, "I am back." Following that incident, no further activity occurred. The oppressive feeling lifted, and the house returned to its former quiet, though the memory lingered like a bruise. Researchers concluded that a lingering attachment or residual energy had been tied to the toy and the child's intense bond with it, and possibly to the folklore of the collector spirit believed to gather objects of great emotional value. Over the next weeks, the family documented no new disturbances, but as a precaution, the toy was carefully stored in a sealed box and buried in a nearby clearing, following an old cleansing ritual shared by the local historian, placing the item at the base of an ancient oak, surrounding it with a circle of sea salt, and marking the earth with a small stone, meant to sever any lingering connection between object and child. And since then, no further signs of the bear or the unexplainable activity have returned, though the mother occasionally claimed to hear soft, familiar lullaby music on particularly quiet nights. And even years later, the child, now older, admitted to still dreaming of the toy describing it, standing at the edge of her room in those dreams, silent but watching. This unsettling tale reminds us that even the most innocent objects can carry more than sentimental value, and sometimes the things we lose are claimed by forces that exist just out of reach. As we close tonight's case, I ask you, have you ever lost a beloved toy or possession under strange circumstances? Subscribe to True Terror Files Official for more true unexplained horror stories, eerie legends. Share your story in the comments, and so don't miss it. And remember, some objects leave a mark long after they've gone. And atmospheric investigations every day. Horror series tomorrow with another unsettling case of an heirloom mirror rumored to trap reflections that never fully disappear.